Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Laili Wahyuni. I'm a member of Group 2. Here I'd like to present about current issue in English language teaching about writing. So here, the title of the article is Teaching Writing to Low Proficiency English Foreign Language Students by Arthur Firkins, Gail Foray, and Sima Sugupta. So in this article, it describes a gender-based literacy pedagogy which can be used with English language learners. And it discusses about the combination of two explicit teaching methodologies. Those are a gender-based pedagogical approach, and the second is activity-based pedagogical approach. Okay. Background of the article. The first is teachers find difficulties in teaching EFL students who have low proficiency. So here, generally, in writing class, teachers ask the students to write the whole text, which must be correct rhetorically and linguistically. But here for the EFL students who have low proficiency, sometimes they feel difficult to write the correct text rhetorically and linguistically. And then it is such a complex problem for the teachers to find the right strategy and the comfortable environment for those students. So here, pedagogy described was introduced to students with learning disabilities. Learning disability can be seen as a problem which affects most areas of literacy. The students who have low proficiency and learning disability, they seem they have less awareness in linguistic and rhetorical. So when they write, they are not carefully aware. They are not aware that about what they are writing, both rhetorically and linguistically. And then sometimes students with LD or learning disabilities typically produce writing samples that are shorter, less coherent, and less refined than other students. The writing samples of those students or LD students, the writing are less coherent than normal students or than usual students. And then their difficulties are sometimes like they're difficult in organizing tasks and then generating ideas and applying metacognitive skills. Of course, it becomes a big problem for teachers to solve this problem. So therefore, here the students who have low proficiency, they have a lack of linguistic and rhetorical awareness. From this background, the researchers try to find a right strategy to solve this problem. To know what strategy is suitable to be conducted or to be applied in a class which have a low proficiency students, EFL students. Background is, however, very few studies discuss the practical details of how the model could be introduced by a teacher in a low proficiency EFL context. So in this article, it describes that this approach is rich enough to be modified to suit low proficiency EFL learners. Before the researchers explain about what genre gender-based pedagogy is, the teacher explains about the case or the problem. So here, gender pedagogy was introduced firstly in Australia, in the school system and other teaching environments. And gender-based pedagogy views language as an open dynamic system and suggests that knowledge about language should be taught in an explicit manner. So, gender-based pedagogy here suggests that it is better when the teachers teach students in explicit manner. And then Martin 1992 states that genres are seen as the starting point for modeling, deconstructing, and understanding language. And then this article also shows the detailed practical activity in detail about this genre-based learning in the class. So maybe the other researchers have known that gender-based pedagogical approach is the right way to solve teaching writing to low proficiency English foreign language students, but they don't explain the teaching practice in detail. So this article journal explains it in detail. The next is the purpose of the article. The first is to know whether a gender-based approach is effective in teaching writing to low proficiency English foreign language students. The second is to describe the theory of gender-based pedagogy as teaching plan for EF for English foreign language students with learning disability. So, the teaching plan was developed around the introduction of two specific written genres. The first is procedure and the second is information report. So, here are some steps which that the researchers that was conducted by researchers in the classroom observation. The first is they outline the activity or the genre-based approach that was applied to the teaching of writing procedural texts, and then they evaluate the approach and they discuss how it was revised to provide students with the essential linguistic tools to support the learning of information report genres. In this classroom observation, they try to use genre-based pedagogical approach to be a strategy to enhance students' writing. So, and then the result will be in the conclusion. Thing is method. The method of this research is qualitative research methodology, and the researchers collected data through some steps. The first is interview, the second is classroom observation, the third is close examination. The first is interview. But firstly, here the place of this research in a secondary college which specializes the education of students 11 to 18 years with learning disability. Firstly, the researchers do interview to some people. Those are the principal of the school, 4 English teachers, and a focus group of 8 parents. From the initial interview, the interviewees reported that writing was identified as a particular area of difficulty. They reported that students demonstrated consistent difficulties with both the mechanics and organization of writing. Here means they continually or consistently show or demonstrate that they get difficulty in writing in a long period of time. And then the interviews also told or reported that those students or the students who have low proficiency, they obtained or they often get poorer results on writing tasks. They often get bad or poor result of writing tasks from their teachers. Therefore, the research team here decided to focus on strategy that can enhance the students' writing skill. Okay, from this, the researchers select what strategy that can be conducted for the students, for the English foreign language students with a low proficiency. And then after the selection, the total of the students is 32 secondary students. And then the researchers will start the classroom observation. Okay, after the interview, the second is classroom observation to collect the data. And then regular interviews with all parties. So here the data collection will be interview, classroom observation, and close examination of documents. Okay, the genre-based approach. And then finally, the researcher select the right strategy to solve this case. That is genre-based approach as strategies to enhance students' writing. And then, because why did the researcher choose this approach? Okay, the reason is the approach offers a teaching methodology that enables teachers to present explicit instruction in a highly systematic and logical manner, which were factors they believe that it will assist students with the cognitive organization of information. The approach is based on learning through guidance and interaction. So in this approach, it provides the students maximal support and then full guidance and interaction with the teachers. So when they find difficulty, the teacher directly help them in writing or to correct their writing. It's about the activity of classroom observation. In this activity, the selected students are asked to do writing class, and the researchers will give material about procedural text, writing procedural text. But here, in order to give clear and explicit manner or explicit instruction to those students, the researcher here take the familiar topic for the class, and they chose Halloween. Of course, the students will do that Halloween party in each year, so the students will be interested in the class. And then the first step is the researchers will introduce the topic, genre, and key vocabulary about Halloween, And then the researchers invite the students to do brainstorming about the topic. After that, in the task, the students were asked to identify and thus become familiar with the usage and terms of some lexicogrammatical features, such as imperatives. As we know that imperative is the characteristic or the sign of procedural text. They discussed the vocabulary and then through the action of making the mask, thus the students were able to understand how the procedural text functions in context. In joint construction, the teacher led discussion of how the mask was made or give demonstration and then remodeled the written procedural genre by asking students to recall and discuss each step. So, modeling text and joint construction are guided by the teachers, and then in the end, later the student will be asked to do independent construction. So they try to do activities by themselves. Well, the conclusion of result this article is divided become two parts. The first is the genre approach is effective in teaching writing to low proficiency English foreign language students if it is paired with a sequenced and well-structured teaching methodology. The second is motivating theme of activities can be effective way to teach writing students. Besides, we're teaching the EFL students who have low proficiency needs a lot of motivation. Of course, they need to be guided. They need to be given motivation each day because they always try to do their best. And we are when we are teachers, of course, we should give them full motivation and support. Opinions from the researchers. So the first is, if the teachers give more teaching session and then gives more time to practice in practicing language, so the researchers believe that it will help the students to have further developed the flexibility to independently construct a variety of procedural and information report tags. And then the second is code switching becomes the effective way to help the teachers to teach the students with have low proficiency. Here, when the students need clear explanation, so the teachers are suggested by the researchers here to use code switching in order to make the students understand about the explanation and about the material in the classroom. That's all my presentation. I really do apologize for my mistakes, or I do apologize if I'm mistaken in explaining these materials. And the last I say, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.